Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Minesweeper tutorial. Today we will be adding mine numbers. To start, let's create a new sprite and call it numbers. Let's create a text box in the middle of our costume. Let's input 1 into our text box. I'm going to add a little outline as well. You don't have to do this, but in my opinion it looks better. Okay, and then I want to go to the game view so I can check the size of the number and make sure it fits well in the box. I'm going to shrink mine just a little bit and then recenter it. But I'm going to rename the costume to 1. Make sure this is important, so make sure you rename it to 1. Then let's duplicate the costume. And it should automatically change its name to 2. And then let's put in the text box 2 and then duplicate again, put in 3, so on and so forth until we get to 8. After having 1 through 8, let's go to the code. Let's pull out a hide and a when green flag click block. In the map sprite, each of our clones have an ID. Whenever a tile is clicked, we broadcast the shown message. We can use this to show the number of mines that are around the clicked tile. Back into the number sprite, let's pull out a create a clone, a set costume, and a go to position block. In the map sprite, let's create a new variable called shown index. This will be where we store our last shown grid index. Let's pull out a set shown index and let's set it to the shown index before we broadcast the shown message. In the number sprite, we can now get access to our last shown grid index. Let's pull out an item of map block, and before we do anything with this, let's create a new block and call it show number. Be sure to mark the run without screen refresh. Let's pull out our newly created shown index variable and get 1 less than this item of our map list. This will give us the item to the left of our last selected index. We are going to use the map list to find the amount of mines around the shown index variable. To do this, we will need some if statements. For example, whenever I use the item shown index -1 a map, that's showing the item to the left of our grid. Let's pull out a mod block and grab a shown index variable to put it in the first part of the mod. The second part, we need to use a grid width. Let's then subtract the shown index by 1. Let's pull out an if statement and have it if shown index -1 moderator of grid width is not equal to 0, and this will get us if the grid is if there's one on the left of the grid we selected. And if there is one to the left, that means we could do, let's create a new variable, and let's call it mines for the sprite only, and we can increase the amount of mines that we find. So set the mines to 0 at the top of shown number, and let's change mines by 1 if the item of the shown index -1, so the item on the left is equal to 1, or is pretty much it's equal to a mine. And then if it is, then we'll change the mines by 1. And now that's getting us the grid I just selected on the left of our chosen grid. Let's then duplicate our if statement we created, and let's replace the shown index shown index -1 with the shown index +1, it will actually, for the moderator grid width, we're going to actually want to have it without the +1. And this will check if there's a grid on the right. And if there is a grid block on the right, if it's a mine, we'll change the mines by 1. Let's duplicate the bottom if statement again. And this time we're going to swap out for a greater, the not equal to, we're going to have it if shown index is greater than grid width. So if it's greater than the grid width, then there is one on there's one above it. And we just swap out the shown index +1 for shown index minus grid width. Okay, then let's duplicate that. And we're going to have it, if it's on the bottom, we want it where if the length of map is greater than the shown index plus the grid width. So pretty much what all this is doing is if the shown index is greater than the grid width, that means it's on the second row, so we can check if there's one above it. And this is getting us if there is one below it. If there's not one below it, then we're going to not check for something below because it'll like break the project. But let's duplicate our item of shown index -1, and we're gonna try to get the corners now. To do this, we need to have it item of shown index -1 minus grid width. And that will get us if there is one on the top left. Alright, and then we want to double check if the shown index is greater than the grid width. So if there's one above it, and let's just stick this into our first if statement. Okay, then let's duplicate that if statement we just made, and we're going to replace the if shown index is greater than grid width with our length of map is greater than shown index plus grid width. And then what we're going to want to do is instead of subtracting grid width, we're going to want to add grid width. And this will get us the item on the bottom left of our grid. Okay. And then I'm going to select those. So those are the two we just did. And now to get the right ones, what we want to do is instead we want to do the same thing we just did. So let's duplicate those two corner if statements, and let's move them to our if not shown index mod grid width equal to 0 if statement. And let's replace our shown index -1 with shown index +1, and that will get us the ones on the right. Woohoo! If you need to review that again, please go back because this is very important. Let's drag down the blocks we created earlier to our bottom of the if statements. They go to switch costume and create clone, go to the map sprite, and find the create grid block and drag and drop the blocks that we created earlier for the go to X and go to Y of our map sprite. And it should appear in the numbers sprite. Let's add to our X equation by block size multiplied by the mod of shown index and grid width. And then let's subtract from our Y equation by block size multiplied by the floor of, and then you just pull out a division block. We're going to divide it by, let me get this all out. We want to divide shown index divided by grid width. And then we want to switch costume to our variable mines. And then let's pull out when I start as a clone, we want to show the clone. And then let's pull out a when I receive shown, we want to show number. Let's go to the bottom of our show number block. Put a if statement around our go to X and Y, switch costume, and create a clone. And let's have it if mines is not equal to 0, because we don't want to show a number if the mines is equal to 0. And I made a little mistake, so I was messing around just a little bit. But what we need to do is we need to subtract from our shown index mod grid width by 1 in our go to X in our show number block. Let's create a new variable and let's call it clone. Make sure you click for this sprite only, because right now all the clones are receiving the show message, but we need to make it so only the normal sprite runs it. So what I need to do is set clone to 0 when the green flag is clicked, and when I start as a clone, set it to 1, and then have it if clone is equal to 0, then we show number. And if you look, it should work now, if I can find one with the mine. There we go. So that means there is one mine around that grid block. And then there's 2 mines, then 1 mine. You should be able to actually play Minesweeper now. So, exciting. But if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. And I'll be sure to post another episode here soon of Minesweeper. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And we'll see you in the next episode.